All right, so here are the two guided problems that I told you guys about that I'll do for this section. As you can see, I have the decimals calculator up already. What I'm going to go ahead and do here is I'm going to type in, for problem 1, I know I'm going to use negative b over 2a. So I'm just going to type that in, and I'm going to use that for all of my problems for the first step to find the x value of the vertex. I'm going to hit enter here. So I'm going to leave this here consistent for the first few problems. For the second problem, I'm going to type in this because I'm just going to be backing out those x's and using different numbers to find y. So for the second one, I'm going to put negative parenthesis squared minus 4 parenthesis plus 4, and I'm going to set that up for when I need it. Okay, so we're going to graph this. Excuse me. The first thing we need to find is our vertex. So I identify A and B as my first step, and in this one, my A is negative 1, and my B is negative 4. And that's going to give me that x value of the vertex. So now what I need to do is do my negative b over 2a and see what that gives me. All right, so my b is negative 4, so that negative 4 goes here, and my a is negative 1. So I come over here and I'm just going to type these numbers in what I already previously did. Negative 4, negative 1 gives me negative 2. That's my x value of my vertex. So x equals negative 2. And now I have to find my y. My y is going to be when I put negative 2 in here. All right. So since I already have it set up here, I'm just going to put it in. Negative 2. Negative 2. Now you can put this on your calculator that you have. That'd be good to practice that. But again, on this, just so much easier because it's already there. All right, that gives us a y of 8. So that is my vertex. My vertex is 2, 8. And I'm going to put my vertex in my xy chart right here. I'm just going to put a v here for vertex, negative 2. And 8, and now I can plot that on my graph. So I'm going to go negative 2 for the x, y for the 8, which would be negative 2 and positive 8, and I'm putting a dot there on my graph. Now again, knowing that which direction this goes, we know it's going to go down, okay? So the second part is we need to pick an x value that is greater than and one that is less than the x value of the vertex, which is negative 2. So we have some options. We can pick negative 1, because that's greater than negative 2. We could pick 0. The farther you go away from the vertex, though, the more likely you are to have the next point that you're going to plot go off the graph. So I would suggest staying close to that vertex with your x value. So if our vertex is negative 2, then I might go negative 1 and negative 3, or in this case, 0 and negative 4. And you're going equal distance because we know that they're based on the axis of symmetry, it's going to get the same outcome. So I'm going to do a couple of these here just so you can see how it works out. But if let's say I pick negative 1, all right? So if I put negative 1 for my x, I go over here, and now I'm backing it out, and I'm putting negative 1 for both of my values for x. And then my outcome is 7. So I have negative 1, 7. So I can go ahead and plot that, negative 1, 7, which would be here. Now if I know, and again, understand that axis of symmetry, I know that there's going to be a dot here, which that would be when x is negative 3, we would get 7 as well, right? So if I did negative 3, and I'll show you that it comes out to 7. So negative 3, negative 3, I still get 7 as my answer. All right? I think the easiest number to use, again, if we're going for numbers to the right and left of wherever in the vertex, is 0, right? So why don't I try that? I can try 0. So I back out and I put 0. And the nice thing about using 0 is your output is always going to be your C value, which is that 4. So you can see that. Oops, I'll put the 7 here. So 0 and 4. So I'm going to go ahead and label that one. So when x is 0, y is 4, I can put a dot there. And again, if we're talking about axis of symmetry, this is 2 units away. I can go another 2 units, and I would have a dot there that is going to complete that graph. So when x is -4, my outcome is going to be 4 as well. So watch this. I put this in here. And we get our output as 4. So if you understand the axis of symmetry and how far away it is from a point, you don't really need to do that. But I'll just go in here. We put in -4 for x, and we got our outcome as 4. So now we have our 2 points, our 2 solutions of that, where it comes there, and then we draw our U-shaped graph, and we're all set. I don't need you to do 2 points on either side. I need you to do 1 point on either side, but if you wanted to do 2, that's cool too, just to help with the visual. And again, we know it's opening down because it's negative. All right, so now we're going to guide through this second one here. And again, so over here, I'm going to back this out. I'm still going to use that -b over 2a problem. Obviously, my a and my b are going to change. But here, I'm going to type in this equation just to get started, because I know I'm going to be putting in a bunch of numbers. So 4x squared minus 16x plus 10. All right, so again, the same format. I got to identify my A and my B because I need to find my vertex first. In this case, my A is 4, and my B is -16. So to find the vertex, I'm using, remember, -b over 2a, which is negative parentheses over 2 parentheses, and I type those in. My B is -16. My A is 4. So go over here and calculate those. -16, 4, and it gives me 2. So my x value of the vertex is 2. I'm going to do my xy chart. I know this is my vertex. I'm going to label that with a V. And 2 is my x value of that. I just need to know the y value now. So to get the y value, you're putting 2, that 2 that you just solved for, in for these x's. And I've already preloaded the equation, so I'm just going to type in 2 there. Yeah, I believe it was 2. Yep, put in 2 for these. 2 and 2. And you get -6 as your y value. So that's my vertex. So I go over here and I put in 2, -6. So from here, 2 from the x, -6, and I'm putting a dot there. That's my vertex. And I know because of my A is positive that this is going to go up. So now I need to find a point on this side of the vertex and a point on this side that I can draw my lines through. All right? So again, if we use 0, we know we're going to get 10, so we'd be way up here. But I'm going to use the one directly to the left, which would be 1, and one to the right, which would be 3. So I'm going to use 1 and 3 as my next 2 x values, 1 and 3. And again, because they're equal distance away from that 2, they're going to be the same outcome. All right, so over here, I back out that 2, and I'm going to put 1. And if you're using Desmo, so you can see how this saves you a lot of time. Normally, you'd have to retype this into your other calculator, and there's just more apt for mistakes. I make them too, but it happens. So we put in 1, we get -2 for our y. So over here, I'm going to put in -2. And then we know -3 or +3 is also going to be -2, but again, if you want to double check it, 3 and 3 is still -2 because they are equal distance away. So now I'm going to plot these 2 points. I'm going to plot 1 and -2. So here is 1 and -2. You can see that's to the left of the vertex. And 3 and -2 is to the right of the vertex. And you draw your line through that. Remember, this is a U, not a V. V is absolute value. That's another time. It's a pretty skinny graph because, again, 4 is a big number. The bigger A gets, the skinnier it gets. The smaller it is, the wider it gets. So hopefully that helps, and you can apply it to these next two problems. Again, if you use 0 as one of your other points after you find the vertex here, it's the y would be 14, which is off the graph. So use the points to the left and to the right of that x value of the vertex.